Hi, good morning, my fellow event planners. How are you today? Welcome to the Event Industry Facebook Live. I am your host and the founder of the Event Industry, Jen Singer. Thank you for joining us. And if this is your first time tuning in, welcome. The Event Industry I created as a resource with tools and tips to help you successfully execute your next big event. So hopefully all the information, words of wisdom that I can provide will be super helpful. So how are you doing today? Are you excited? Do you have a big event coming up? Are you frustrated? Are you exhausted? I'm really tired. I have a big coffee here. I had a big event yesterday, so yesterday I was super excited. It was a fun event. It was a 15-hour day, so today I'm really tired. But that is the nature of event planning. So if you're new to the business, fair warning. It's exciting, but super, super long days, especially when you have to produce events, but well worth it. So anyhow, today we're going to be talking about selecting the menu for your next big event. And I have some tips that I use for all my clients. I work with different clients. I work with corporate companies. I also work with a lot of nonprofits, and I work with individuals produce social events, and all of them have different attendees, different guests, and different needs. So these are some elements that I consider to help them select the best menu for their event. So a little bit of coffee, get me going. So before you kind of jump into these 5 tips or tricks, and you want to stay tuned because at the end I'm going to give you a money-saving tip on selecting items for a very specific type of meal. So before you do any of that, before you take any of these tips or tools, what you want to consider is what meal or meals are you planning for. So this might seem super obvious, but it's just great to identify. Is this breakfast? Is this lunch? Is this dinner? Is the dinner or even the lunch, is it a box lunch? Is it a plated dinner? Is it a buffet? Is it family style? Is this like a snack break for like a meeting, like a corporate seminar? So you want to identify like what meals are you planning for, and then jump into like the elements that will kind of help you select those items and kind of determine what you want to serve to the attendees. So the first thing is also kind of one of the obvious things, is consider your audience. And what I mean by this is, if you're planning a lunch for rugby players versus yoga instructors, that is going to be like a totally different lunch, completely different. Quantities are going to probably be different. So just consider your audience, who is actually enjoying the meal, and what kind of things would they actually like, or they are traditionally like to eat. The other thing is provide choices. And what I mean by this is, you definitely want to provide like a vegetarian choice. But if I am doing, say, a plated dinner, I will choose like a chicken and a steak, or a chicken and a seafood, and a vegetarian. So you want to have some sort of variety outside just the vegetarian option. Give people that choice of, whether or not they don't have chicken, but they really like seafood, or they're vegetarian, give them all that variance. The third thing is anticipate special needs. This more relates to allergies. Make sure that you have some gluten-free options, or if there's something that is very specific to a traditional allergy like peanut, that you are, being aware of that, thinking of alternatives, talking to the catering company, talking to the venue about like what could be an alternative for that guest. And also the thing to consider, we covered this a couple episodes back, is finding ways to communicate that with like your attendees beforehand. Trying to find a way to acquire that information of any of those allergies in advance when you do their registration or collect their RSVP. Find a way to try to collect that information so you can plan accordingly. That'll be super helpful for you when you're choosing the menu, or just like getting down to the specifics right before the event. Okay, so the fourth thing is select something seasonal. If that's an option for the time of year and the resources, it's really nice to highlight seasonal items for whether it's your lunch or an appetizer. Right now, artichokes or asparagus or spring peas are super seasonal and would be a great addition to either a dinner or appetizer. So if seasonality is something that you can incorporate, that goes over really well with not only the chefs really enjoy that, but also the guests will too. And the fifth thing is select something regional if you can. So here in San Diego, if I have clients that have guests that are coming from out of town, fish tacos are a super big hit here and would be a great idea to add to the menu. People love them. And if you're coming in from out of town, it's really fun to eat something regional. Just like if I was going to New Orleans, which I've never been, but would like to someday, and they had beignets at an event, I would be very excited about that because that was something I want to enjoy, like in New Orleans, because it's so traditional for them. So think about those elements when you're planning. If there's something that's like very known in your city that you can highlight, that would be really exciting for your attendees. So just to recap the 5 things. Know your guest audience, or consider your guest audience and what their preferences are. Give them some options, whether it's vegetarian or seafood or chicken. Anticipate any allergies, shellfish allergies, peanut, gluten, all the allergies. Select a seasonal option if that's within your reach, and then select a regional option if that is also something that you can consider. Okay, so the money saving tip for you when selecting items for a cocktail reception. Okay, what you want to do is you can select something that's on a platter or a display for an appetizer, and you can also have tray pass appetizers together. Not a problem. You can have just things on a display. People can just grab and go and have some cheese and crackers. That's no problem at all too. The thing I just avoid all the time and really strongly discourage my clients from doing is selecting just tray pass appetizers. So no display, just waiters walking around or servers walking around with tray pass appetizers, and that's it. Now the reason why I discourage this highly is because I've done this. And it's not gone over very well. Guests have always complained that there wasn't any food, they didn't see any food, they didn't get to eat anything. And if you're going to do both, you don't have to do a ton of display. Like you can, place a cheese platter out and just have something that people can visually see. So the people that are like, might be the one to complain, will see food out that they could grab, but maybe they're too engaged in conversation, and is why they probably didn't grab something from the server when people were walking around, and they will just know that there was food there and they won't really complain. So consider that. And then I also in terms of platter options, the other thing I really advise my clients of doing is, especially when it comes to cheese platters or most platters, do not order for every single guest. Even if you are display focus or solely display, order for a fraction, 50 to 60% of the guests. You don't need cheese for 50 people. That is so much cheese. It's so expensive when you are buying cheese platters. So do it for half the amount of people. If you have a small event, so say you have 20 people, only buy cheese for 10. Or vice versa. If you have 50 people, only buy cheese for 25 people. This will save you money because they're not going to eat all the cheese. You're going to have a ton of extra cheese or a ton of extra appetizers. So when it comes to the cheese and cracker or just big display things, pare it down. That is the best piece of advice I can give today. So I hope this was helpful for you executing your next big event. You want to tune in next week. We are going to be talking about contract negotiations with vendors and venues. I have a lot of years of experience doing this, and things that have worked really well and things that I've learned the hard way. So I'm happy to share that all with you next Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you have any questions, you can email me at hello@theeventindustry.com. That's hello@theeventindustry.com. And then you can also visit the website, theeventindustry.com. That's theeventindustry.com. There's tons of resources, previous Facebook Lives, templates and tools that you can download and freebies. So you want to visit the website and you can grab any of those or contact me if you have any questions. If you have an event coming up and you have some menu questions, please feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to answer your questions. So thanks again for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing everybody next week. Have a great weekend.